Chris Bowling.
Hey, it's Chris Beyer.
How are you, CB?
I'm doing well, doing well.
We are in part 3 of our series. So excited. And we're going to talk about the CFO role. So, Mr. Beyer, what are you hearing from the CFO role? What are some of the questions you're getting? And tell us your thoughts.
For the last couple of years, Chris, you and I have talked about that journey that a CFO can take when it comes to their healthcare strategy. And it has to start with them being involved. And we're seeing good CEOs be involved because for so often it was just, I manage the budget and I manage the profitability of the company, but healthcare is not part of my responsibility. And the good CFOs are starting to take a look at that now. But then secondarily, it was, don't just react anymore. We've talked to so many CFOs that are dealing with escalating healthcare costs because employees put off care and now they're diagnosed with a major illness or something that's chronic, and that's just plaguing their health plan and there's no other options. CFOs are saying we're tired of just getting the renewal and realizing we have no opportunity to market anywhere else. I just spoke with one yesterday. I won't go into too much detail because I think they may follow what we're talking about here, but they just got almost a 50% fully insured increase. And we're asking the question of, and they're not a client of ours, but they're asking the question, should we go out and ask a bunch of brokers to bring us quotes? And I had to walk through that and just say, that's not in your best interest. And I said, why are you asking that? Because that's the way it's always been done, but I don't think that that's the right way to go about it. And so there is no way to hide from your claims. And so my advice was work with your current broker, and until they fail to deliver anything for you, then continue on with them. But the ability to just quote away your problems as a CFO in healthcare is not there.
No.
So that leads to really the third piece of where we're seeing the best CFOs take advantage of this is as they're going through inflation, as they're having to increase their wages, CFOs are trying to find that best efficiency. And they're trying to figure out how do we buy our inputs for our company at the lowest possible price without sacrificing quality. And the best CFOs are starting to look at that when it comes to healthcare. Yeah. You and I are seeing so many companies start to unbundle the mystery of healthcare, leaving fully insured, moving self-funded, and then purchasing each component of healthcare at the right price. And talk about that, Chris. I mean, that shift isn't easy. It's not overnight, but those companies that embrace that are really starting to see some cost control.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to they're managing their own internal supply chain. And yes. Right. I mean, they're looking at everything that they're ordering, buying, shipping, and, healthcare is no different, right? I mean, it's not, I'm just going to buy this box and this box is going to work. It is what is in that box.
Yes.
And what is not working inside of that box. And you and I talk a lot about this with our clients, is that there's nothing wrong with buying a box if that box is exactly what you believe that you should be offering to your employees.
Yep.
Without bashing any carrier models, the box sometimes works perfect. But I think where we have focused is what is inside of that box and where is the biggest bang for our buck, right? Without disruption. This isn't about disrupting how your employees want to use the benefits that they're buying from Mr. and Mrs. Employer.
Yes.
It's how do we have the biggest impact financially without hardly any disruption. And that is where the challenge is today. And I truly believe that you and I have found several ways to do this where we're hearing back, after 1 year later, that, my employees got through that really easily, You
and I have been attacking scheduled procedures, knowing that it doesn't matter which network your employer health plan is on, there is a different price for that same procedure, for an MRI, for a CT scan, for physical therapy, depending on where you go. And most of those are in network. And again, a good CFO is not going to buy a fleet of trucks from multiple different areas and pay 3 times as much for that truck. They're going to go find the dealer that's going to give them a consistent price. They're going to buy that fleet from the dealer and make sure that it is high quality, and they're going to get the best possible deal. we can't just rely on a healthcare network to do that anymore. We've got to find where can we get that procedure done and what's the best outcome for that employee, incentivize them to go there to make sure the cost is controlled.
Amen. You know, the more you and I talk about PPO discounts and I mean, it's all garbage. It's let's focus on what are you paying. Let's have transparent pricing, number one, right? And, you know, I have said this, you know, my wife's a nurse. Healthcare is the most inefficient, I think, business in this country. It's horribly inefficient. It's horribly confusing. And there has to be a better way, right? I think the same thing about pharmacy costs.
Yes, that's the other one we're attacking. Yes.
Man, you want to talk about Oz behind the curtain. Let's talk pharmacy, because there's so many things hidden that we have determined. Once again, how do we have the biggest impact for the lowest disruption? You know, you mentioned scheduled procedures. The second one, pharmacy. And then
how do we source that medication at the best possible price? And it was, you know, like we saw with healthcare networks for MRIs as our example, you know, where it was 5 or 6 times difference within the same community in cost. There's a totally different true cost when you go to a different pharmacy. There's not a consistent price being charged to the health plan when you go to a pharmacy. Even if your copay is X, the true cost is totally different. And finding ways to get that lowest net cost to the member, but then also to the health plan are 2 ways that a CFO can unbundle the healthcare and purchase those supply chain inputs for healthcare the right way.
Right. No, I agree completely. And I think, you know, part of the conversations we're having with both CFO and HR, which we'll talk about in the next one, is access to providers is getting extremely difficult. So, you know, what are some options out there that is a huge benefit to your employees? You know, we talk about direct primary care, right? It's a completely different model, but it comes back to that big financial incentive. And that is, if you can get an employee to see a doc and you catch something early, a huge
everything's better
for that employee's life, you know, but huge impact on the financial side of this as well. So, but yes, once again, CFOs, love to hear your impact. Love to hear your response. What's happening out there, you know, help us learn from you more than anything.
Excellent. Well, Chris, we'll close up this one, get some feedback, and then next episode will be focused on the HR director and what challenges they're experiencing right now as we go into third quarter. So good to talk with you this morning.
Thanks, my friend. We'll see you.